Yesterday, I was in Maryland. I did an Easton University live event for a super dope, amazing, kick-ass, awesome commercial flooring company. Great group of people. I think we had 100 people there. And somebody, and I really enjoy this in my live trainings, I won't say his name, I will. He's a super cool guy. His name's Chuck. I was like, you guys got to push back. And he pushed back on me on our closing. And if you guys remember, our closing is, we don't want to be pushy, we don't want to be manipulative, we want that person to be in control, yet we still want to move the deal forward, right? So what we were talking about in the live event was things as simple as, hey Phil, does it make sense to sign the agreement? And Chuck was shaking his head and rolling his eyes, and he's like, he raised his hand, and thank goodness he did. I appreciate pushback. Was like, this would never work, right? To which I used my own training, and instead of getting emotional, yes, Chuck, it works all the time. Go look at the testimonials on eastonuniversity.com. I just mirrored them. Would never work? Well, yeah, I mean, asking somebody if something makes sense, for lack of a better word, I think this was Chuck's exact words, doesn't make sense. I don't understand the question. You don't understand the question? Well, yeah, I don't understand the question. If you're asking somebody if it makes sense, what they wouldn't understand. And then he essentially, by him being able to work through that, he was like, okay, I get it. I understand you're saying doesn't make sense. Now notice first piece of the training, because this stuff really works and I'm really proud of it. And this is why it works for you guys. I took somebody that's being adversarial in a high, which I wanted him to do, by the way, in a high pressure situation. These people had spent a lot of money to have me train their people, and in front of 100 of their people, here I have somebody going, this doesn't work. I could have got defensive. I could have showed Chuck, well, this is how it works, but instead I just mirrored. If you give people an opportunity to solve their own problems, they'll solve it. What I did, which I'm very proud of, is I followed my own training and allowed Chuck to talk through it. So Chuck talked through it, and he's like, okay, fine, I'll give you that. That doesn't make sense, does make sense. I know that sounds weird, but that's literally what he was saying, is he's like, I don't understand the question. You don't understand the question? Allowed him to talk through it. And then he said, in the real world where I operate, in my market, this would never work. And I mirror it wouldn't work. Yeah, you know, people are just really aggressive in my market, and I don't know where you teach people it wouldn't work. I said, well, do you mind if we role play? Give me a specific. Think of your worst customer, be them, add in more villain to that. And he's like, okay, fine, but you're not gonna like the outcome. I'm like, well, let's give it a shot. And I said, hey, Chuck, does it make sense to sign the contract? He goes, no. Got it. What's a good next step then? I'll call you when I'm damn good and ready. Is exactly how Chuck said this in front of 100 people. I have to be honest. I was cool and calm and collected on the outside. On the inside, I was like, ugh. This is going a direction I don't like it to go, but I'm appreciative that it did, because I don't think this happens that much in the real world, but for some of us it does. So I simply, just as I was just talking with Zena, stayed calm, cool, and collected. Got it. Makes perfect sense, Chuck. What's a good next step for me? To which a person that I just said, be as difficult as possible with me, said, well, I've got to meet with my general contractor tomorrow at 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. I can't make any decisions until I meet with them. That's why I'll call you when I'm damn good and ready. Yeah, makes perfect sense, Chuck. Does it make sense to have me with you when you meet with the general contractor? No, I got it under control. Perfect. My mobile 720-660-3202. If you're meeting with your GC, and they've got any questions, you want to bounce anything off me, I'll be here for you. If you think of anything between now and 4:30 tomorrow, I'll be here for you. 720-660-3202. Call me, text me. If I'm awake, I'll respond. And I'll plan on circling back with you. How long's that meeting? It's a 30-minute meeting. Cool, I'll call you 5:15 tomorrow afternoon if I haven't heard from you before then. Fair enough? And Chuck was like, yeah, fair enough. And he was literally like, okay, I'm not sure it would go down that way, but I get it. And I'm like, do you want to do it again? Do you want to go? No. The system that we teach, guys, even to somebody that had just learned it in that moment at that live event and wanted to call bullshit on it, it works because you're not being a jerk, right? But at the same time, you're also not being passive. You're not letting somebody just completely dictate the conversation. And when you let your customers say things to you like, I'll call you when I'm damn good and ready, is no different than a doctor allowing a patient to go, I will take my insulin when I feel like it, right? You have to set a next step. I understand that. What's a good next step for us? We've got to make sure that you take your insulin. Otherwise, we're going to be looking at amputating a foot or a leg, right? You have to hang in there with that patient. If doctors are like, okay, if you feel like taking your medication, go ahead and do it. I'll call you if you're not dead, right? I need you guys, just like Zena and I just worked on, hang in there. Don't get aggressive when somebody gets aggressive to you back, whether it's via email or verbally, I'll call you when I'm damn good and ready. Makes perfect sense. I totally get it. Understand you're busy. What's a good next step then? I just told you, I don't know what the next step is. I'll know it when I'm ready. What's a good next step for me? He told me he couldn't. It's amazing. People can't, and the more aggressive they are, when you ask that second question of what's a good next step for me or next step on my end, it's almost impossible for them to say, I don't know. Why? Because they've already told you I don't know once. If they say it a second time, it's against their ego. And also, when somebody is aggressive like that and they raise their voice, I'll call you when I'm damn good and ready. If you allow them to boss you around, if you allow them to push you around, they will push. This is psychological jujitsu. By Chuck going, I will call you when I'm damn good and ready, he's already pushing on me. So I'm just going to allow him to push and I'm going to sweep him. Got it. What's a good next step then? I just told you I'll call you when I'm good and ready. It makes perfect sense. What's a good next step for me? Call me 4:30 because he wants to continue to tell me what to do. I'm giving him an opportunity to tell me what to do. In most of the cases, they are within those two. What's a good next step then? And what's a good next step on my end? They're going to tell you what a next step is. If they're in the few opportunities where they go, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, just simply set a next step. Chuck, makes perfect sense. How about we do this? Today's Wednesday. I'll call you Friday by 2:30 if I haven't heard from you. There's a no losing that. Fair enough? And throw the fair enough. They always say the same thing. When we role played this in the live, yeah, fair enough. Not one person was like, that doesn't work for me. Okay? If they say it doesn't work for me, perfect. What time does work for you? Call me Wednesday. You guys, we got to stop fighting with these people and we just have to have a skillful way to set a next step. Stop caring so much about getting the contract in that moment and just continue to set next steps and you'll be shocked at how you get the contract in that moment.